Hello and welcome to the September subscription box video. I'm Rebecca from Bet Makes. In this video, I'll take you through the steps of how to create a mini vase necklace. So if you're already a subscriber, you'll receive 10 ml of the UV resin, but if you're a new subscriber, you'll get a 25 ml in your first box. These are like the findings, so it's a necklace chain that's been cut in the middle and some jump rings, some glitter and some blue pigment powder to mix into the UV resin. This is your vase mould, and I've added a little fish in because there was a little space, so I thought why not. I always include a silicone and a wooden project. So in this one you've got 3 little pumpkins and some tiny pumpkin earrings, and these are your acrylic paint pens for this project. You've got the lime green and the orange. Then I've also included some shrink plastic, which is rough on one side so you can colour it in nicely with the acrylic paint pens. And these are your instructions, and I've included this little flower that's approximately the right size for the vase. You can obviously do any flowers you like, but I'm just tracing this design as it's approximately the right size. So I've just laid my shrink plastic over the top of it, and then I'm literally using the acrylic paint pens directly onto the rough surface to trace the design. Once you're happy with your design and the paint's dry, you just want to use normal scissors to cut it out. So for this stage, I've given you instructions on how to use your oven at home, but you can also use a heat gun, which is what I'm going to do now. I've placed the tape there to contain the heat, and then I'm going to use a stick to hold it in place because it will wriggle around as it starts to like shrivel up. Once you're sure it can't shrink anymore, you just want to wait for it to sort of flatten down and then use a heavy object to flatten it completely. And there you have your cute, teeny tiny flower ready to go in your vase. So you have the option of either doing a completely clear vase, which is what I'm doing here by putting the clear resin directly into the mould, or you can mix the pigment in and make like a blue vase or whatever colour you've got at home. So to make your 3D vase, you're going to need 2 of the front and back pieces and 1 of this central piece I'm filling here. Now this is a very fiddly piece because it's quite narrow, so you just need to make sure that you've lifted all the bubbles out and that it's completely flat. I've sped this up because it's quite a fiddly process. But once you're happy, cure under the UV light for 2 to 4 minutes. With it being clear, you probably only need 2 minutes. And then repeat the process again to do the other side of your vase. So this first piece is the internal part of your vase, which we'll later attach the jump rings to. Please wear gloves, as this is such a fiddly project and it's hard not to get it on your hands. So these are your 3 parts that we're going to use the UV resin to glue together. Once I've got it all lined up, I've used a tiny little blob of the UV resin to hold it in place, and then I've continued with the rest of it neatly around the edge. Okay, with your little flower, you now want to stick it down onto some masking tape so that you can control it better. And we're going to put the UV resin directly onto the top of the side where you coloured it in with the acrylic paint pens, where you've got like a matte surface. This will make it super shiny and durable. Once you've cured your flower, you can then sit it into your vase. Now, I should have balanced the flower onto the other part of the vase to start with, because I made a right faff of this. And again, please wear gloves because this is messy and sticky. So here I'm using the UV resin to hold the flower in place and then curing it. I should have really had the blue pigment ready at this stage, because I could have just used that to hold it in place rather than the clear. So I've just used the other half of the vase to balance the flower to stop it toppling over. So here's your hollowed out vase, and now we need to fill it with the blue pigment mixed in with the UV resin. So you want to just very carefully fill your vase so it looks like it has water in it. Now this is where I messed up. On a previous vase design, I dripped the UV resin into the vase and then sat the flower in afterwards, which is what we probably should have done, because when I went to place the front on here, I trapped an air bubble which I could then not get out. The other option is I could have cured the blue in place and then added the front disc to avoid getting that bubble in the bottom there, which I eventually managed to move to the side. Very annoying. Then you want to cure it for the full 2 to 4 minutes. Even with the bubbles, it's such a cute little design. Next, you want to open your findings. I've pre-cut the chain for you, so it's got a gap in the middle. And then using your jump rings, you just want to attach the chain to the handles of the vase. It's a very fiddly job getting your jump rings on, but it is worth it. Even with its flaws, how cute is this design? For the pumpkins, I've just coloured them in using the acrylic paint pens, and then I'd mix a little bit of the glitter and UV resin to give them a sparkly little glaze. Thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to get this box, it's available for the whole of September,